See, only McMahon is going to be pompous enough to give you your own resolution. But I'll bet you we agree on this one. In 2016, I resolve not to go broke. Andrew, would you be in agreement with that as a resolution?
A little pressure on me, but I definitely would abide by that for you.
The pressure was on as soon as we invite you to be a part of the Morning Scramble. Bayntree Wealth Advisors, and this is Andrew Rafal, who's going to help you along with 2016. Will it be a happy new year?
As the markets are tanking today, hopefully this won't be a prelude to the rest, but yes, I think it will be a very happy new year for all of us.
It is so difficult, even for a professional like you, to stay on top of the marketplace. It's like a roller coaster.
Yeah, waking up this morning, seeing China take 7%, the Shanghai Composite, and then some hawkish Fed comments. So ultimately, we got to just stay up on it, but it's a tough grind.
So for those of us who are not professionals,
yes.
What did you just say about China? Good or bad?
It was bad. It was not good today. So ultimately, the China growth story is slowing down, which is hurting global economy.
All right. Can we make serious financial changes that we might not have made in the past?
I think we can. You know, we look at the new year, people are looking to eat better, read more, and why not plan for your finances? You know, many of us spend more time planning for the next vacation than getting their retirement in order.
So how about if we just go through a couple of steps to begin? Because we just began the work week for most of us in 2016. So here we are, Monday, January the 4th. Help us.
I think number one, when we look out to this year, it's pretty obvious, but as we look to save more, it's the key component to making sure that your retirement's going to grow. And when we look at saving more, let's look at 401k. If we're privileged enough to have one at work, make sure that you're putting away at least enough to get the company match.
And who says enough is enough?
Well, it really comes down to where we are in our life cycle. So,
you mean what we can afford?
Correct. We have to look at expenses, cash flow, and even somebody who's just getting started, just putting a little bit away can go a long way in setting their goals for the long term.
Isn't it true that Americans are among the worst in the world when it comes to saving?
Yeah, when we look at some studies, those that are nearing retirement, the average monies that have been put away is less than $50,000 as a whole. So I think we look at it and we say, instead of looking to the long term, people are looking short term, and they may give up some of the vacations and so forth.
Okay, well, what happens with the reality of what else goes on in American financial life, and that is those of us who owe a great deal of money?
Yes, when we look at paying down debt, that's one of the cornerstones to hurting a retirement plan. You know, credit card debt, 9, 10, 12, 15% interest. It makes it very, very difficult to get on top of things if you keep putting yourself in that position. So paying down debt, I think, is a very, very important resolution as we look to 2016.
Do we get into those kinds of debt problems primarily because we're such a consumer nation?
I think so. It's that quote-unquote keeping up with the Joneses, and instead of looking at saving to buying something, it's let's put it on the credit card and let's focus on we'll pay it off later, and then that gets you into trouble.
You know, here's one where I'm really careless, and it's one of those situations in which you say, one of these days, we're going to have to review the estate. We're going to have to review the trust plan. An estate and trust makes it sound as if my wife and I have an enormous amount of money set aside. Everybody should be taking a look at that no matter what.
Correct. It's not the amount of dollars that you have, but it's understanding that if something happens to you, death or incapacity, if you don't have the right documents in place, you're putting the position of the family not being able to step in. So whether we're in our 20s or in our 60s or getting closer to even our 70s and 80s, it's important to make sure that your will is updated. Living trust potentially is an option for people, and then looking at beneficiary forms on things like retirement accounts and IRA accounts and life insurance is very important as well.
And determining beneficiaries changes over the years.
Correct. As we're in a new year, you know, some of the things we look at during the course of a year is we get married, A lot of times young kids have their parents as a beneficiary, and then they get married and they forget to put the spouse on. And if something happens to that individual, whether they have an estate plan or not, the beneficiary form, it trumps everything. So we've seen a lot of situations where families can be torn apart by not looking and reviewing and making sure the beneficiary forms are updated.
Wow, surprise in the documents. But of course, I don't have to worry because Social Security is taking care of the rest of my life.
That's right.
Isn't it, huh?
It is. I will not call that accurate, but yes.
But we really have to
Yeah.
review what place Social Security has.
Correct. Back on November 2nd, Congress passed some sweeping changes to Social Security. They pushed it through in the bipartisan budget bill. It surprised both advisors and shocked retirees. This is a period of time for individuals that are 62 and over, that there's certain timelines that they have to look at in making some Social Security changes for them.
Well, you know what? I hope everybody's taking notes. And if not, they can always get in touch with Andrew Rafal or his staff at
Bayntree Wealth Advisors, located at Scottsdale and Lincoln.
It's the best way to close a conversation like that.
Love it. Thank you.
This is Pat McMahon. I'll be back.